that I had. I was thinking about this on the plane ride when I was flying here the other day, and I guess everyone had a different experience with Rob, but I just wanted to share mine with you. And I've been thinking about him a lot over the past week or so, as I'm sure all of us have. And I'm not entirely sure how to distill 46 years of friendship and all those experiences and memories and emotions that entails, but here's a 2-3 minute tribute that I'll give, and my best crack at doing that. So to me, Rob was a guy who had many phases in his life in his 51 years, and I remember first was Daredevil Rob when I met him back. I was age 5 or 6, I think, and he liked to build bike ramps, had half pipes. And with me, he shot bows and arrows, jumped from the roof of the treehouse with me, my backyard, and he occasionally got a little unlucky with the windows, the fragile windows at the time.
Which I got blamed for.
Jim would get blamed for that, and my dad would come out and shake his head and just say, "Rob, it's time to go home." And then was Rebellious Rob, I would say. That was from maybe age 13 to 25, I think. And he got into some of the typical teenage pursuits. Rob was always a little ahead of me, I'd say, in his social development, particularly his relationship with the ladies. I tried to ride on his coattails as much as I could, but only a modicum of success at that. He always struck me as quite the Casanova, and I remember hanging out with him in various party settings. I spent a week with him and Phil Braccio, Dan Abbey, and Mike Coughlin down at their shore house, which was very fun and memorable. And then I was telling Dave this story earlier tonight, and I remember I came home from college one time in the summer and had a fake ID. And Rob and I thought it would be a good idea to buy a keg and have a party at the Chiodo's house. I don't think you were on vacation. Yeah, and then it was fun until the cops showed up, and then thankfully Dave and some of his buddies sweet talked them into leaving. They did search the whole house and let us in, and then also hit on the roof. So needless to say, I had a lot of good times with Rebellious Rob. And then later was Responsible Rob. So this is like 25 years old and up. It still has a little bit of the Rebellious Rob left in him, but just like most young adults around age 25, he started to discover his responsible side. He really became a nurturing, consistent presence in Juliet's life, and was really kind of a beacon of stability in what seemed like a somewhat chaotic parental situation sometimes. And I was just so impressed with him when he would talk to me about the situation sometimes, and when she came to live with him full time when she was 14 or 15, and then he really guided her through that whole college application and financial aid process, despite never having done it himself. So I was always super impressed with that aspect of things. So. And then when he was about 35, Responsible Rob got even more responsible, realized what a great thing he had with Beth, and they got married in 2007. I remember their wedding very well in September 8th or somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh my gosh.
This is why he only got one wrong in his SAT.
I was expecting a follow-up on that too, and then Rob went from one of the youngest dads on the sideline to one of the oldest dads on the sideline. But he was up for the challenge, and in his mid-40s, he was going to kids' youth sports, attending birthday parties, going to parent-teacher conferences, and I think he really enjoyed that and relished that. And he was juggling his work responsibilities at the same time, and whether that was doing the staffing or helping Beth with her private practice, and he even helped me find a nurse for my clinic out in Los Angeles. So Rob was kind of all over the place with that. And then last phase of Rob, I would say, although it probably permeated some of the early phases, was passionate and political Rob.
Yeah.
You know really well. Rob and I had many, many text conversations over the years. So it seemed like around age 30 or so, he got very interested in and vocal about politics, sometimes to the temporary detriment of family harmony and even his friendships. Rob was pretty liberal. I consider myself relatively liberal, but Rob thought I was Trump-like. If I had said anything that was even a little bit different than him. But with Rob, it really all seemed to come from a great place, and he was just passionate about justice and fairness, and he was always sticking up for the working man and the little guy. And I was always impressed with how well read he was and how well he could write for someone with really no formal training in the things he was writing about. He really wrote articulately and heatedly at times about stuff, news media, elections, tons of other topics. And I always enjoyed talking with Rob about these topics and texting with him. I mean, I can't tell you how many, I just looked through my phone and our last month of text exchanges I saved, and there must be 30 pages of stuff, Israel, Palestine, speaker select, House speaker selection, all sorts of stuff. So I probably tried to bring Rob a little bit back to the center sometimes.
Thanks, Kip.
And the other things we would talk about, I was always, I think I was telling Beth this earlier, how I was amazed at how self-assured he was about things, even when he was dead wrong. He didn't know what he was talking about. He would try to tell me about mental health, and I'm a psychiatrist. And I'm like, absolutely. He would do that. I'm sure he would do that with diets and health stuff too.
We know all about diets.
But it didn't really matter, regardless of how heated things got or how FOS I thought he was about a particular topic. We always hugged it out, and we were better friends for it in the end. And like everybody else, I was devastated when I heard about Rob's death, and I've really been thinking about him almost nonstop since then. I can't imagine what his family and Beth are going through right now. And I told a couple people this earlier. The thing that time it really hit me was when it was election day on Tuesday, and I was like, kind of woke up and I was like, I'm gonna text with Rob about the election and what it means, and then I just stopped and I realized that I wasn't gonna see those three ellipses coming up, and I wasn't gonna be able to anticipate what he was gonna write and what I was gonna respond and anticipate to respond with him. So that was part of when it really drove home to me. But just with Rob, he was such a great friend. He was loyal, fun-loving, mischievous at times, but super caring, and he had a great sense of humor and a really great infectious laugh to go along with it. Talented storyteller, great, extraordinary salesman, fantastic son for the most part. Dedicated father and loving husband, and a pretty damn good political analyst, I think, and he really touched all of our lives in a really positive way, and we're all better for having known him, and we're all going to miss him really dearly in a lot of different ways and for a lot of different reasons. So I just Godspeed, Rob, and
Thank you.
I hope we meet.
Thanks, Kip. Very good, bud.